I am Claire Mitchell, Doctor of Laws and King's Counsel.
And I am Zoe Venditozzi, Doctor of Laws, teacher and writer.
On the 8th of March 2020, International Women's Day, we launched the feminist Witches of Scotland campaign. The Witchcraft Act, in force between 1563 and 1736, saw thousands of people, mostly women, accused and executed as witches in Scotland, in the country's biggest and most brutal miscarriage of justice. Our campaign had three aims: to get a formal state apology for those accused of witchcraft, to obtain a pardon for all those convicted, and to get a national memorial to remember those involved in the Witchcraft Act.
On International Women's Day 2022, the first of our aims was realised when First Minister Nicola Sturgeon issued a formal state apology to those accused as witches. The first formal state apology ever. We are currently working with politicians to ensure there is legislation passed to pardon those accused as witches, to change their status from convicted witches to those who ought never to have been prosecuted. We continue our work to obtain a national monument so those who suffered will never be forgotten. Join us as we speak to the experts on the witchcraft trials, both here in Scotland and further abroad, as we explore the history of women in Scotland and continue the cultural conversation of what it means to be a woman. Hello and welcome to the Witches of Scotland podcast. I'm Zoe Venditozzi.
And I'm Claire Mitchell.
And we are absolutely delighted tonight to have on a special guest who is coming to us all the way from the Highlands of Scotland, and that is Claire Campbell, who is from Prickly Thistle. Claire, hello, first of all.
Hello, girls.
Hello. Thanks so much for joining us. We've had an enormous amount of contact with Claire recently, probably much to her horror and chagrin. Claire, could you tell us why we've got you on the podcast tonight, what it is that you do?
Oh, yes. So I am thrilled, beyond thrilled. I know you better than my husband just now. This last while. But no, I am delighted and honoured and every word that goes along with all of that, to be here to, share the privilege of being part of the Witches of Scotland Tartan and how that story came about, how you girls reached out to me. Gosh, it feels like a long time ago, but and what I do here in the Highlands is I've been going since 2018, and I had this little vision, my own little rebellion, my own little form of justice for the cloth of our country was about bringing tartan home to the Highlands of Scotland. You know, it became the rock star here with the ban and everything that went with that. And to my horror, I had no idea how we were making practically none at that point. So we are still the only mill in that Highland region in the mainland. And yes, so we've got a small team. We've winged it. We've worked it out. We've had happy accidents. We had shit hit the fan, but all in the cause of creativity and learning. But yeah, so we're a small team. Pretty much all women, apart from one gentleman from Belfast who is amazing. He's the best at keeping us. He's like our godfather of, chaos. And so we design tartans here and we weave fabric here, and we also make clothes that are all about that whole planet and people before profit. Zero waste, sustainable, transparent, a bit of a voice, a bit of a kicking back on fashion, all of these things that we've been conditionally fed over the last 50 years. We kind of just go, nah, I think we need to switch it up. So that's what I did.
That's really why we approached you. Claire will talk a wee bit about how that kind of happened in a second, but it's really your kind of ethics and your vision that we liked. You had me at Women Run. I mean, to be honest, you didn't need to say much more than that. And all the other stuff is just pure gravy. But I had no concept that there wasn't just an ongoing thriving tartan industry in the Highlands. I think I had been sucked in by television and didn't really understand. And it's a wee bit like the Witches of Scotland podcast campaign, the genesis of all that is us not knowing our own country's history a lot of the time. So that's something that I think has been a really beautiful thing about the campaign, and a really great thing about working with you, because we're just learning all the time, which is really wonderful. So Claire Mitchell, right? It's confusing. Claire Campbell, Claire Mitchell. Claire Mitchell, can you tell us how it is that we led to ask Claire to get involved in this, please?
Yeah, so as you know, we had three aims of the Witches of Scotland campaign. The first was for an apology. We got that on International Women's Day 2022. The second was a pardon. We're still working on that at the moment in Parliament. We've had the public consultation. And the third thing was a memorial. And when we asked the Scottish Government to help us with it in a petition, they said, that's a really good idea, but we've got no money. We'll help you raise funds. And making a statue is a really, really expensive thing and it needs upkeep. And you have to commission artists and you have to do this and you have to do that. And also, unfortunately, in Scotland, there are just far too many places that can actually lay claim to having the national memorial where they were. So all these different places could say, we want it, we want it. And we were just stumped by what we were going to do. And because we can't get a national memorial because it won't be paid for, I went to the V&A opening night of the Tartan event, and it was one of the best nights ever. I just stood there and I looked at all these people walking about in their tartans, all different colours, all different ways of wearing it, and they were all talking about this is what this is what this means to me. And it was energizing. It was amazing. And I suddenly thought to myself, what if we made a Witches of Scotland tartan that people could wear and say, here is the history of the people in Scotland. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps as I say it. Here's the history of women in Scotland and men that were killed as witches. Here is our history, and we want to talk to you about it, and we want to remember what happened to those people, and we want to hold them in our memory so that we go forward and do something better in the future. So it's like a statement of intent for the future. And I approached the V&A. I approached Leonie, the director of the V&A, and asked her if she could help me find somebody. And as soon as I told her my idea, she went, I know exactly the woman for you. And that was when she put me in contact with Claire.
It's really fantastic because one of the really clever things about it is if you're wearing it, then people will be saying to you, and we know this now from the completely bonkers response we've had from people like Good Bonkers, is that people be like, what's that? What does that mean? And it means that you can explain it, you can talk about it. Is that this ongoing, cultural conversation that we were igniting a few years ago and that we've kept the fire going for, so to speak. That's maybe a really bad way of phrasing that. But we are really keen for the fact that people will keep talking about this, and especially the way the state of the world is just now, particularly for women's rights in certain places. It's something that a lot of women have just immediately kind of gone, right, I want to be part of that. This represents something for me. I want to memorialize the people that were accused of being witches. Of course, there were some men too. It wasn't just women, but it's something that women have particularly been very, very engaged with, and they're very, very keen to kind of literally show their colours, with what they're doing. It's so clever. So Claire Campbell, how did you come up with the idea for the colours and how it looks?
Yeah, well, I think it was a collab, girls, with yourselves. I mean, you had a very distinct um color impression, with the amount of work that you've done since you got the first apology from the first minister at that time. So you've got your website, there was that, natural connection to what was dark times. And as we discussed more, thinking about the ashes, the relentless burning and everything like that. So there, it's strong colors, but designed to be positive and a reminder of that rising up. So I think those colors were very distinct, the white, the black, the grays, but also then learning about, this, I love learning something new. The whole concept of the legal red tape. I had no idea where all this came from, though they physically were tied in what became quite a pink tape, as would happen because we didn't have chemical dyes back then. It was very sort of natural cochineal, which have been a ready pink colorway. So to really see how that legal enforcing of murder, and what that meant, it was about highlighting that in the design, but then using the specific dates around when the Witchcraft Act came into force and when it finished. You know, you touched on, Claire, your Mitchell, that's 3 clear objectives that you girls set out to do, and you are doing it. How do we pull that into the design? And then, yeah, how all that balances through. But it's, yeah, so it's just really simple. And I think that's, when it comes to a tartan design, and we probably need a whole other podcast on the tartans and clans and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like the most important part of a design going forward for our future cultural history awakening is really having that story and really being symbolic of community, not bloodline, not social status. It's about people together aligned by the same values. And I think this is what this tartan has been insane in terms of the reaction.
Absolutely, so many people across the world. We were saying, you know, you come join the Witches of Scotland clan, and people are DMing going, how do we join? Is it okay? Can we wear this? We've got relatives that are Scottish. And we're like, look, see if we're bonded together with common values.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to people, listen to the podcast, see if you agree with what we're talking about. See if you agree with us and what we're moving through the world as modern day women. Then you can become a member of our clan. And you know, there's no issue about wearing a tartan. You don't have to be related to a Scottish person, or
you don't have to fill out a form or anything, because I think we've been
some
using
people
the
ask
language of join our clan. A lot of people have messaged us and said, how do I join the clan? Like almost as if they expect there to be an admin post.
Listen, I think it's insane.
No, as if anyone can expect us to hold any admin together. I mean,
I think
come on.
it is worth mentioning again that when you said Claire Campbell, that, you know, you winged it, you worked out, you went along, there were happy accidents, you learned from mistakes. That's very much the story of Claire and my's campaign as well. Because Claire obviously is an amazing lawyer and is very good at that, and has, you know, obviously a great brain. But when we started the campaign, we didn't really have any real clue about how it would take off, how many people would get involved in it, how it would become so huge. And I just have to say again, for the record, there's no team, there's no marketing plan, there's no backroom boys, there's no intern. It's Claire, who works as a King's Counsel and is currently doing the COVID inquiry in London. And there's me, a full-time teacher of children with additional support needs and a single mother. It's the two of us doing it together in the extra hours that somehow we seem to have conjured up. We're not witches. So we're just two innocent women trying to make the best of things. So it's just the two of us. But it's really nice to think about the fact that your sort of methods and your idea about what it is that you do with making the tartan is that it's not fast fashion. It's not something that's going to happen quickly. And people, I think, are understanding that mostly, that this is going to be a longer process. So we are going to be putting this podcast out on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we've got some exciting news, which is that we're going to launch the first way in which people can get their hands on some of the tartan. Okay, so we've decided that we're going to do a Kickstarter. Claire advised us on that because she's done that before very successfully. So we'll have a Kickstarter that's going to launch on the Wednesday, and there are 3 different things that you can put in. How do you describe it, Claire? You put in
in terms of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, because it's not like right, I want to buy this.
Yeah, so I mean, we were so lucky. So Kickstarter, crowdfunding, how do you fund a rebellion? This is an ancient, centuries-old way of raising funds for activism. So they call it Kickstarter, but this is something we've done for generations. So it works really well when, as you say, really simple. You don't have a back office, you don't have a big, massive e-commerce website and all these people banging away with all these algorithms and capturing this. Literally just, you know, if you put it on Kickstarter, you girls have got an amazing little video. This is what it's about. And then basically, if people want to get behind it, they love what you're about. They also want to have something to say that they're part of the clan. And clan, as you quite rightly say, clan's got nothing to do with family. It's community all day long. So part of the clan. And then by doing that, and it was so hard because there's so many requests, isn't there, ladies, coming through for like literally everything. We've kept it less is more, simple, but this is the start. Phase 1 of the whole thing, keeping it super simple. So they call them rewards effectively for backing a project. So the project vision is what you guys have and the 3 objectives you've set out to do, and raise a bit of money for charitable causes along the way, etc. They call it rewards, but effectively that's products. You pre-order in advance, you select your rewards. I'll let you girls probably explain what the are, but they can go on there and there's, upfront, transparent about the timeline. Literally, this is going to be a super quick call to action Kickstarter, 7 days. When you see this, you're in it, go for it.
We're
and
not
what it
messing
allows,
around.
we're not hanging about, no. So everyone can then know that within 7 days of the launch, we will get to work. The women of the Highlands will be like, we'll be warp speed, like literally, to get whatever's needed on the orders. And then it gives everyone a little chance for a breather and to go, okay, what's the next phase? Because it's just insane how many people want to be part of this justice movement.
It gives us an idea of how many people actually want to buy something, because there's a big difference between somebody saying, yeah, I really want this, and then actually shelling out, because it's not fast fashion. This is quality, it's wool, it's not cheap, it's beautiful, it's something you're going to have for your whole life. So this is a really nice thing. Claire Mitchell, can you outline what the 3 things are that people can purchase?
Yes, so as Zoe was just saying there, this is the opposite of fast fashion. It's an item that you're going to buy and have for the rest of your life. And I'm getting emotional once again, hand down to family members, hand down to your children, stuff like that, hand down to brothers, sisters. Or the dog. And we have decided that we're going to offer 3 things. Now, the first thing is an A4 piece of the tartan, and we wanted that so people could have a bit of it, but also we've had so many requests from creative people saying, I want to do a bit of this, I want to add it to this, I want to do bookmarks, I want to do various different things. And we thought, well, if we give people an A4 piece of tartan, they can get started on that. And that A4 piece of tartan will be £15. So we thought that that was a level that people could enter into, and I hope people agree with that. The next thing that we have is a scarf. Now, it's a scarf and it's long and it's thin, and I suppose it could be used as a scarf. Also, it could be used as a sash round a dress or perhaps a broad belt. It's a very versatile piece of cloth. And that is going to be priced at £50. And that is just as, I think that's just the going rate for these things, and also a lot cheaper than I've seen on the high street in Edinburgh for stuff that isn't made by women in the Highlands.
The idea of getting a scarf has been really popular, hasn't it? A lot of people have said they want a scarf, so we knew that there would be an appetite for that.
Yeah. And the third thing is, I think, what we're calling a sort of luxury item, sort of for people that want something and want to spend a lot of cash and have a big piece of fabric or a bigger piece of fabric. And that is a throw. That can be used as a shawl. It can be, I suppose, wrapped around your waist, kind of like a sarong, or it can be put over your shoulders as a shrug, or it can be
on the sofa.
Yeah, put on the sofa. It's just
sofa throw. Yeah,
it's just a large bit of tartan, and again, it's so lovely that it is something that in the old ways people would have just got a large bit of tartan and worked out how they were going to use it. Claire Campbell's nodding, and that particular sum, because it is so big, that item's going to be £250. And again, we're told by Claire that that's not a big price for such a large piece of tartan.
We're so Scottish.
I know.
We're like, it stands for value for money there.
I know, but it is a lot of money, and that's why we've tried to make 3 different price points for people. But as Claire said, it is only the start, and we are also asking people that want bolts of fabric and want kilts to register their interest, so we know how to go about the next phase. So our idea is we're going to continue after this first Kickstarter on a roll to make scarves and to make the A4 pieces and to make the throws ongoing for people to get them. And then, parallel to that, start the kilt and bolt process.
Yeah, so we need to work out if that's got legs and if that's definitely something that's going to happen. It looks like it, but there's, what's that saying? There's many a slip betwixt cup and lip. Is that saying?
Again, we're Scottish. Like loads of
Can you
people
help
say
it?
they want it, but you never know.
Never
Zoe,
know.
you never
Is it?
know.
Can I count your chickens? Anyway, so that's the next phase. So I know that people are keen to buy fabric and things, but bear with because we really need to work this out. So for putting your name down for interest in a bolt or kilt or whatever, fabric by the meter or whatever, it's £1 to do that. Now, Kickstarter doesn't allow you to do that for free. There has to be some sort of money, and that's the lowest possible amount we could have. But what we're going to do with those pounds are there, whatever we get from that, that's going to go to whichever charity we decide to go for first. So we're going to give a proportion of the profits directly to charities that we think align with our values. So we'll work that out. We've got a few different ideas, but we need to see what's kind of feasible with that as well. And we don't want to act in haste and kind of repent in leisure. My God, where have I come from?
I don't Scotland.
I'm from
Scotland.
the 1950s.
All this might be terrible and it might not work.
Oh God. Anyway, so that's what our plan is with that one. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a limited amount for each of these things. So, it's the quick and the dead, but we've got a lot of people watching our social media. So this podcast will come out, and then it's the day after the podcast that it'll open, or maybe at midnight, I think. So it'll be out, and we'll let everybody know on all the socials anyway. But we're just hoping that the Kickstarter website doesn't crash.
I think surely it's going. We've gone from we're not sure if anyone will take anything to the imagination of the Kickstarter, the Kickstarter crashing. But that's right. We really want to support Scottish business. We really want to support women in the Highlands, and as Zoe says, a proportion of the money that's made, we will find a charity that aligns with that. However long it goes on for.
If it runs like year to year, then it'd be a different charity every year. It could be that there's something in particular that's happening that we think could be helpful. I mean, we've been thinking about different things like, we could fund like some sort of educational initiative, or there's lots of different things that we could do with some of the profits. So Claire and I, remember, it's just the two of us. Claire in the Highlands, there's 15 of them. It's not an enormous factory, so this is slow and beautiful fashion. And I think it's going to be really wonderful seeing it come to fruition.
Bear with us. I am super excited, and can I say that what I'm mostly super excited about is, and I hope you'll forgive us, listeners and all the people that are keen to get tartan, is Zoe and I have first dibs.
Oh my God.
and there is a bolt getting made for us
For when we do events.
Have ready for when we do events.
Yeah.
And I am going to get one of the big kilts made by Claire.
All draped.
All draped. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it. Zoe, what are you going for?
I think I'm going to be more of a sort of classic lip thinning trouser.
Yeah. We do them.
I'm just going for the full celebrating the wide hips.
But do you know what though? Like seriously, and I mentioned this earlier on, by wearing it and having it, it just keeps that conversation going. Because although we want to look to the past and we want to memorialize those people that were accused, and it's really, really important that we look at that. Out of the 2,500 people that were executed, they didn't get justice. So this is really important for us. So we remember it and we keep talking about it. But it's also about linking to what life is like today, and about thinking what life is like, particularly for women and across the world, and the fact that witch hunts are not a thing of the past. They are still happening in various countries. It does happen here. We need to talk about that, and we need to keep a light going on that. So what better way than with actually what we're wearing, because it just means we can keep talking about it and educating people and highlighting the cause of what we're doing. Now, I am just going to mention at this point, for new listeners, this is maybe their first of our podcasts. We've got 70 odd podcasts already in the can, right? They're free. They're always going to be free. They're used by people all over the world to research the witch trials, to see if they've got any kind of connection with their family lines. People that are doing research about living in America or Canada or whatever, they'll always be there. And we've talked to loads of different historians, artists, musicians, you know, you name it, we've got various people on, and there's no plans to stop the podcast. We'll keep going with them because there's a huge amount of interest, obviously, and lots of experts. So we'll be keeping doing that. But please do go back and listen to the other podcasts if you want to get up to speed with what actually happened. So that's Witches of Scotland podcast. You'll find them in all the different places. But is there anything else we'd like to say before we wrap this up? She said, throwing a shawl over her shoulder.
I think that works better if you're actually like a visual gag, Zoe.
That's why I
Yeah.
did like a subtitle.
She did have audio kind of like, this is what I'm doing. She's actually standing on her head doing some yoga moves. Don't say you're doing that, Zoe.
Is there anything that we need to mention?
Oh gosh, I think it's just to highlight to everybody there's like FAQs in the Kickstarter on bits and pieces that people can go to.
Yeah.
And yeah, just think, you know, it's just to let people know. And yes, we are Scottish and we are like Price, and it's a bit like, oh my God, has that been dead cheeky? Is this, you know, because we're always, but I think we've gone on that journey a little bit, you know, over the last 6 or 7 years, and just realizing the ethical price, or, you know, a just price, past, present, future. I think there's so many parallels to the journey of what you guys are doing and where we felt in the context of what women wear in particular, because we are seen as easy targets to consume lots of stuff and we have no idea who's made it and what women actually is being persecuted to make it quite often in a really crappy living conditions. But it's just to let people know that, you know, everything's sourced in Scotland. You know, it's spun and dyed yarn in Scotland. There is more to cover on the wool side of things. There's like loads. That could be 70 podcasts with you girls.
We definitely need Claire. This is only our first podcast to let people know about the Kickstarter.
We'll definitely do more. We'll come up
on.
and see you in Inverness and record with Claire when you're actually making the tartan. So this is really an intro, isn't it? There's more.
But this is letting like everyone know in terms of the price is about being fair and ethical in it. We've kind of, as women, we've probably not been aware about the distance that's been thrown in between some of that, you know, in terms of what we're funding ultimately. So if anyone there's an email address on there for FAQs, anyone wants to ask anything, we're more than happy always to explain what they're funding with their purchase and what we're trying to kind of, you know, ensure happens on an ethical level. So it's kind of,
Can I boast on your behalf? Are you or are you not the first mill which has got Corp B status?
Oh yeah, the B Corp. Yeah, we were the first in the whole of the UK.
Wow.
Yep.
Can you explain what that means, Claire?
Yeah, so B Corp certified. So there's a lot of gaslighting, a lot of greenwashing, a lot of pay and display. We're seeing it in every industry as we're all kind of, you know, with all the other crap that's going on, the planet is still, you know, she's hurting, with just us not being aware of maybe our choices and the impact of that. But yeah, so we started that in the year we opened. Patagonia, Yvon Chouinard, a bit of a trailblazer in terms of what he did. But B Corp is what's really, because you're a lawyer, what's really interesting about this, Claire, is that it is one where you voluntarily change your articles of association as an organisation to say that you genuinely put people and planet before profit. So, you know, so I'm laying myself out and every B Corp out there to say, question, challenge us, you know, absolutely. What is the best decision? There's always a bit of compromise, and we're still trying to work out solutions for the compromises we're still making, but rebuilding that supply chain. But to know that the Witches of Scotland Tartan might be like a whole other level of revival in terms of empowering women in the Highlands and that whole justice for the planet. So we became the first B Corp. We were the disruptor. Everybody thought probably give them a year. They'll, you know, God bless them, they're trying.
And you've tried. You've actually shown as a trailblazer that it can be done.
Yeah, I think but that's what you guys are. I think when you're so passionate about something and it's about just I think it's about inspiring people with that kind of connection to history, but not to be overload or kind of jumping way back in history. It's about what we do tomorrow with that bit of knowledge, isn't it? And I think that
there's an interesting thing between the past and the present and the future, I think, here as well, because some we've seen a few comments where people have been like, well, am I allowed to wear it? I'm not Scottish. Yes, anybody can wear it. Anybody. I know. And people saying, oh, this is a tartan for witchcraft. Now, it's not for witchcraft. It's to memorialise those that were accused of witchcraft. However, we've got fantastic support from people that practice witchcraft. We ourselves are not witches, but very much subscribe to the very modern idea of you do you, babes. So we are very supportive, and it's really nice to have a jamboree of lots of different people that either you're maybe really into history, you're a really strong feminist, you know, you're a witch yourself, you're just really into Scotland, whatever it is, because it means that we're memorialising these people in a really active, ongoing, I think really quite a beautiful way. And everybody can get involved.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Can you imagine one day when you're just like somewhere in a city and you look around and you see someone across the street and they've got a Witches of Scotland scarf on? Or someone comes up to you and goes, "Is that a Witches of Scotland tartan?" Yes, it is. And then they wish they hadn't said that because 15 minutes later I'm still talking at them.
But there's been really nice contact from people all over the world saying to us, you know, I can see this as a form of resistance. And there's nothing that makes my heart sing more than think people are banding together to smash it. So I am delighted by that aspect of this.
This is the tartan of quarrelsome dames worldwide.
And
if you're a quarrelsome dame, then you're a member of the Witches of Scotland clan.
Yeah. We'll extend that. We will allow men to be involved in this also.
Yeah. When I think quarrelsome dame, probably I should have thought about it, that it's female, but I wasn't. I was just making the connection of an argumentative person.
Default usually is male, so I'm delighted that you didn't default to a woman there. More of this. Hurrah!
That's true.
Yeah.
I think we might draw it to a close there, gals, because we're all going to need to get our beauty sleep if we're going to be working at the mill 24/7. So
yeah. I've got your little ear defenders ready, girls. You're coming up. And we'll get loads of pictures for your Kickstarter. You'll get loads of content. Everyone can see it all come together. So there's lots of...
Love a boiler suit.
Super excited. You go for the boiler suit. I'll go for the more sensible ear defenders. Okay. And
I'll be deaf but funky. Anyway, thank you so much, Claire. And guys, that everybody's listening and it's been so supportive. Thank you so much for your support. We will see you at the next stage. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
If you'd like to know more about the Witches of Scotland, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Sign up for our mailing list at www.witchesofscotland.com to keep updated with the campaign. On that site, you'll be able to find how to link with us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram.